Good day to you, one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Today, there's no obligation for me to be nice. I needn't mince my words, actually, because I'm going to be discussing something that I adore. And that thing is Radiohead. There always used to be this thing when people used to say, oh, how come your band's called The Darkness when, to all intents and purposes, the music isn't very dark, is it? How come? And I'd always be like, well, first of all, you're not listening to the music properly. Second of all music comes from the darkness. That was, I think, John Lennon said that, or Elton John Lennon, or Ben Elton John Lennon. No, it doesn't matter. Somebody said it, and I regurgitated it. It's what I do. But I always used to say, what about Radiohead? You know, you never ask them why they're called Radiohead, and they're not walking around with radios on their heads, are they? And they just look at me like I was some sort of twat. Justin Hawkins rides again. Okay, I love Radiohead. Simple. This today I'm doing one of those episodes where it's top to bottom banger. And the album I'm going to talk about, you know, I suppose I know a lot of people who like guitar music are in love with OK Computer. I think that's a great album as well. Probably is top to bottom bangers, but the one I'm talking about is The Bends. Okay, so here's some information about Radiohead first. An English rock band formed in 1985. Radiohead's experimental approach is credited with advancing the sound of alternative rock. It's interesting, isn't it? Their popularity and critical standing rose with the release of their second album, The Bends, which was released in 1995. So this is their, what they call the difficult second album, the sophomore slump, as it were. You have your whole life to write the first record, and then you struggle traditionally or anecdotally with the second record, and you just can't find the material, or there's usually sort of difficulties in following up a hit. I mean, they had a hit on the first record, didn't they? They had Creep, which is a mega song, you know. And I remember when the Bends came out, and there was songs like you know, the singles that they released, stuff like Fake Plastic Trees. I remember seeing that on Top of the Pops before I heard the whole record and just thinking, why hasn't this song got a bit like Creep in it, you know? Where's the really, really loud guitars? And it just, I was missing the point of Fake Plastic Trees. Fake I remember that after that I went to college, and I came back after the first year in the summertime, and my brother gave me a CD of the Bends, and he said, and I'll never forget what he said, it stays with me to this very day. I can still see his cherubic face distended with excitement as he handed over the compact disc and said, well, I'm not sure if he said anything. He might have said something along the lines of, I'm probably paraphrasing, but I remember it like it was yesterday. He said, everybody in the world should own a copy of this record. And you don't hear that very often from anybody, but you definitely don't hear it from my brother. And I was like, really? But it's got that really boring song about trees on it, isn't it? Because of how determined he was to stress the importance of this record, I really gave it a shot, and I gave it a couple of listens, and I was totally hooked. And I've been hooked ever since. I think every song on it is absolute all-time classic. Really clever stuff happening in it. Great playing, great performances. As of 2011, Radiohead had sold more than 30 million albums worldwide. Rolling Stone named Radiohead as one of the 100 greatest artists of all time. Yeah, you know what? I'd put them in... I might go further than that. I'd say maybe even... I don't know, dare I say it? Top 10? Dare I say it? Their awards include 6 Grammy Awards and 4 Ivor Novello Awards. Actually, when we won our Ivor Novellos for Songwriters of the Year 2000, a while ago, Johnny Greenwood was picking up an award, I think, for some soundtrack work that he'd done. It might have been for... I'm not sure which he'd done a soundtrack, and he was picking it up, and as he walked past the table, he looked at me and went like that, and I was like, there are certain people who are game changers. He's one of them. Radiohead is a game changer. Top 100, yeah. 4 Ivan Novellos, those things are heavy. I don't think you'd want them about your person. You'd probably have to have those on a little trolley, just pushing them along. 6 Grammys, so what? You'd have to have like a hat that looks like a Grammy platter, really. One in the middle, whichever one is probably the most important to you. Probably the first one, I guess, and then a set of smaller ones around the outside, and obviously the traditional 2 Grammys on the shoulders. You've got to wear your achievements on your body all the time, I think. Tensions were high, and the pressure from the label to match the sales of their debut single Creep, and progress was slow. They moved away, so it was a difficult second album, actually, wasn't it? They moved away from the grunge style of their debut album, Pablo Honey, which I don't know if they moved that far away from it. I would say that the Benz still has a lot of grungy stuff on it. In terms of when it kicks off, it really kicks off in an emphatic way, incorporating cryptic lyrics, greater use of keyboards, more abrasive guitar tracks, and more restrained arrangements. So I think they were pushing the boundaries on this one. They were overdoing everything, including subtlety. It's credited for influencing a generation of post-Britpop acts such as Coldplay. You can definitely hear it in Coldplay. Muse, oh my God, you can totally hear it in Muse. I remember there was a thing when Muse was, there was a little mini spat. You used to have little spats in the 90s between the sort of prevailing. People would always punch upwards, and obviously by the end of the 90s, you'd have to say that Radiohead were probably the establishment, certainly in British sort of guitar-based Britpop music or whatever. And I think Muse had a little pop at them saying, how can you sort of justify sort of copying, they're just trying to copy Jeff Buckley all the time. It's like, have you listened to your own music at any point? Or maybe they're being ironic. Maybe they're being ironical. Could be. Travis, great band as well, and is frequently named one of the greatest albums of all time. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's superb. So if you're not familiar with The Bends, the album by the band The Radiohead, I mean, then you should certainly check it out. Straight in there after some atmospheric noises. Actually, there's a thing in Tom York's voice that I always used to think he was sort of sounded to me like he was channeling a bit of Bono and a bit of a little bit of Jeff Buckley. And I know there's a story about him singing Fake Plastic Trees, where having heard a Jeff Buckley song, he decided to sort of deliver it in a different way, and sort of gave a reserved, falsetto performance. The one probably something like what's on the actual record now, and it was so beautiful and moving that he made himself cry. And when you hear it, that's fair enough. Actually, it is beautiful. That cryptic lyrics, I don't know if they are that cryptic in places. And some of it sort of sounds really like. I remember one of my friends at the time was listening to the Bends and saying he's got a really sick mind, or he knows somebody that's very ill. And it always seems to be from the perspective of somebody who's struggling. Yeah. I get home from work and you're still standing in your dressing gown. Well, what am I to do? Remember that one? I know things around your head. Yeah, so I get home from work and you're still standing in your dressing gown. Well, what am I to do? Which sounds like it's talking about depression, doesn't it? My iron lung. Isn't an iron lung like an antiquated contraption designed to... Oh no, or is it? I thought like that's something that you lay in when you've got like TB or something like that in the olden days. Well, I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's just check one. I was going to Google iron lung. An iron lung is a type of negative pressure ventilator, a mechanical respirator which encloses most of a person's body and varies the air pressure in the enclosed space to simulate breathing. Oh, I suppose it sucks your actual skin and therefore your chest and opens your lungs and closes it using, air pressure variations. So he's talking about like physical ailments and also definitely talking about depression in places. Who knows what's going on in his mind? He writes beautiful songs. Street Spirit, Fade Out. Actually, The Darkness did cover that. We did it a bit faster and I probably sang it an octave up. It's an amazing song. It's just full of amazing songs. My advice is listen to the whole of the Bends from beginning to end. Do it 2 times and then tell me it's not the greatest album of all time. It's really hard to imagine once you're into the world of The Bends by Radiohead. You will struggle to find your way out of it without acknowledging that it is one of the all-time greatest records of all time. How does Fake Plastic Trees go again? That's the one that sort of put me off it before it came out and then became one of my favourite songs on it when I realised how great the album is.
She bought from in a town full of rubber plants. Get rid of itself. It wears her out. It wears her out. It wears her out.
It's a great song. Ugh. Tom! Why? He was also the first person I was aware of that shortened Thomas and then put an H in. I'd only ever seen TOMs before. I suppose I was ignorant. He opened my eyes in a lot of different ways, and I'll always consider him one of the greatest. And what about his pathological artistic integrity, the things that they do for the planet? This is a band that says carbon neutral touring, and they actually mean it, or at least they probably think they do. No, of course they do. I don't know what it means. It's probably not hamsters, is it? It's not going to be Alan and his hamster dancing on the... I just love Radiohead. So anyway, I hope you do too. If you're not familiar with the Bends, as I said before, listen to it. It'll change your life.
Justin Hawkins writes again.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, watch one of these 2 videos, and mark my words, aren't Radiohead amazing? Yes. Yes, they are.